Oh, I think you're muted still.
There we go. Sorry,
Hi.
I clicked the button, having a senior moment, thinking I'd done it. How are you, Kayla? Good to see you.
Good. I'm good. How are you?
Very well. It's really nice to meet you properly. I wanted to ask, first of all, how do you transition from being an Olympic judoka and a champion to being a professional mixed martial arts fighter? Was that always the plan?
No, definitely not. It definitely wasn't always the plan. I knew that after the 2016 Olympics, I was going to be finished with judo. I was beyond burnt out. You know, I was like, I wanted to quit before the Olympics. That's how over it I was. And I thought maybe I was going to get a job with the International Judo Federation. I was going to be a commentator. I was going to help coach. And after the Olympics, I sort of fell into a depression. You know, you go from waking up at 5 a.m. every day and never hitting the snooze button to I was a couch potato, man. Like I didn't set an alarm. I didn't leave my house. I was like, I hadn't watched TV in years. And all of a sudden I'm like, you know, 6 seasons deep in all these Netflix shows. Like it was bad. It was, you know, those in movies when you see the guys, like they break up with their girlfriend or whatever, and they just have like trash all around them. And like, that's how I probably looked. I was like, just a mess. And
so it's kind of finding yourself again in a way.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I really felt like I still had something left in the tank athletically. And I'm a big believer in, you know, you should do something that sets your soul on fire. You should do something that you're very passionate about. And I wasn't super passionate about commentating. You know, I'm much more of a doer. I don't like to just like watch people. I like to go do things. So about 6 months after the Olympics, I went to a local gym in Boston and I started doing some Muay Thai, just like private lessons, hitting the pads and stuff like that. And I really liked it. It felt good just to move my body again and to learn, like to be a white belt all over again. Felt really good. And about a month after I started doing that, I went to my first sparring session. And that was just such an eye opener for me. I was like, oh man, this is really hard. Like getting punched in the face hurts, you know, like this is hard. And that was it. I was like, I got to fight. I got to at least try it. I can't live my life with a what if hanging over me.
So it's almost like a change was as good as a rest in the end. And
yeah.
And has it lit a fire that's as burning, as kindled as judo was for you?
Absolutely. I think that if anything, this fire burns a little bit hotter just because I feel like, number one, I don't have as much time. You know, I was 6 years old when I started judo and I'm 31 now. So I don't have as much time to get really, really good as I did with judo. And number two, it's just like, it's judo on steroids, you know, like, of course, judo is, I always said judo is
not literally.
No, not literally, but it's judo. Like, you know, in judo, you have to worry about someone throwing you, choking you, arm barring you, or pinning you. And in MMA, you have to worry about a million different things. Are they going to kick you in the head? Are they going to take you down? Are they going to punch you in the face? Are they going to hit you in the body? Like, it's such a mind body, like, I've never done anything like it.
Kinetic chess, I always call it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's human chess, and it's amazing. I love it. I'm obsessed.
Yeah, we've got great memories of you. I covered the London Olympics.
Okay.
Sports, yes. Great memories of you, and Gemma Gibbons, of course,
yes.
who I spoke to for many, or a couple of years about her maybe getting into MMA. She was thinking about it, but never did.
Yeah.
There was a path previously trodden for you in a way by Ronda Rousey.
Absolutely.
Have you spoken to her at all about how the transition can come about? And
yeah, we spoke briefly. I think after my second Olympics, or maybe it was before my second Olympics, she was still with Strike Force at the time. And I remember her messaging me saying, oh, my boss is following your career, meaning Scott Coker. She was like, he really likes you. And I was like, oh, that's cool. You know, I watched MMA, but I wasn't as in tune with it until I started watching Rhonda, you know, I mean, because I grew up training with her, you know, and I was obviously supporting her. So the number one thing she always told me was that if I was ever going to do MMA, I would need thicker skin. And she was very right. Very, very right.
Yeah. And how does that manifest itself then? Is that because of social media?
I think just it's very different, right? Like I became the best in the world at judo. And
for a long time, for a long time. Yeah.
For quite a while. Yeah. And nothing changed, you know, nothing about me changed. No one attacked me. No one had an opinion.
No one was poking you.
Yeah. No one had an opinion, you know, like it was I just did my thing and I got to be the best and it was great, you know, and in MMA, it's not really the case. And I think the more successful I become, the more sort of attacked I become. And it really used to bother me quite a bit. Just everyone had an opinion. People who have never met me are saying the most terrible things to me, like online. And I don't know. I can't imagine ever doing that. So, but I kind of have come to terms with it. Like it is what it is. People are going to talk. I'm living my life, you know, out loud. I'm chasing greatness. And with that comes, you know, critics.
Being a target in a weird way. I know it's very strange. It's one of those things I think we're all dealing with in the modern world. I get it myself in a way. You know, I cover boxing and mixed martial arts, radio, TV, newspaper, and over time you just realize that there's a lot of people who've got opinions about you. They probably want to be your friends deep down. They want your attention. They want your attention, don't they? And it's something that you never get said to your face.
Right. That's the thing about it.
So it's weird, isn't it? You know?
Yeah, it's so weird. I've never had anyone once come up to me and say, you know, you look like a man, or you look like you're on steroids, or you're a bum for fighting in the PFL. You know, like no one would ever say the things they say to me online to my face. And I'm constantly amazed by, I'm also just constantly amazed by the negativity. You know, I try to be a very positive person. I try to build people up, not break them down. And there's just a lot of people who don't live like that, I guess.
As you know, you're mentioning Ronda there, and people like Chris Cyborg, Gina Carano, Christy Martin's got a book out, The Boxer, you know, because Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor are about to fight in New York. Clarissa and Savannah Marshall, if Savannah Marshall wins this weekend, are about to box, you know, I call it a women's super fight. Yeah. It's a fascinating time in women's professional fighting, and it seems like you've come in at just the right time, and timing on all these things is so important. And do you feel like that you're obviously doing it for yourself, and fighting is a very personal thing, but do you have an umbrella picture as well that it's very important? You just mentioned a couple of things there, like, you know, trolls saying, oh, you look like a man, or you look like a woman on steroids, or these kind of things. But I think the wider picture in society is that women can do anything. They can be as strong as men, physical as men, be more talented, be more respectful to each other, and not let the ego get in the way quite so much. We see that, and those are facts that I witness in the fight world. Do you feel that you want to portray a bigger message there?
Absolutely. You know, I talk a lot in my interviews about legacy, and about, obviously, I do MMA for a selfish reason. I do it because I have this inner desire to be the best possible version of myself. But part of being the best possible version of myself is leaving an impact on the world, having an impact for the better, you know. And my legacy, I feel, will not only be what I do in the cage, but how I carry myself outside of the cage, what my children go on to do with their lives, the impact that I can have on women and young girls in sport, and young fighters. But I think specifically, I think about a lot, you know, when I was growing up, what was on the cover of magazines, and I was always the only girl in judo practice, and I was considered a tomboy, and kind of like a little weird maybe. So for me, seeing these changes and watching it happen in real life, like I have a 9-year-old daughter. She goes to wrestling practice and now there's like 6 or 7 girls at wrestling practice, you know, and seeing this happen in real time, watching girls realize that, hey, it's okay to be strong. Hey, it's okay to be brave. Hey, it's okay to be fearless. It's okay to be badass, you know?
It's
like,
also okay to be a tomboy. It's actually quite
right,
cool. It's
right,
become
right.
quite cool, hasn't it? You know?
To
No?
see all of that happening and to maybe play just a tiny, tiny part in it is, for me, that's what it's all about, you know? Like I don't fight for money. I don't really want to be famous. I actually have zero. The more it happens, the more I realize I have zero interest in being famous. But if I can have an impact on the world and teach little girls, like, you can do anything you set your mind to, then all right.
I think it's fantastic to be famous for doing something that you're brilliant at, you know, because
yeah,
you know, you know, we're in that era as well where social media is very powerful, and people with a big following, for whatever reason, for reality TV shows or whatever, they're famous for that. You're famous for doing something incredibly concrete. A double Olympic champion, that there are, I don't know how many there are in history, but there aren't many at all. I just wonder as well, I want to ask you, because I'm interviewing you from London, does London have happy memories for you? Would you like to fight there in the PFL?
Absolutely. I love London. It's top. I loved London so much. I dated a British kid for a while.
Oh, you must love London then.
No, honestly, competing in the Olympics there was one of the biggest highlights of my life. You know, everything was amazing. You go through an ambassador program before you compete in the Olympics, and they say, hey, basically it's just like, don't be an asshole. You know, things might not be on time. There's going to be a lot of crowds. Expect delays, expect problems, expect, you know, that everything might not be in tip top shape. And I'm telling you, when I got to London, I was like a dream. I couldn't believe it. I mean, you guys did, the city and the country did such a fantastic job. The fans were amazing. You know, everything was right on time. Everything, I felt super safe. The food was amazing. I had the time of my life. I was there with my best friends. I got to win America's first gold medal. Like, it was a dream come true. You know, it was a dream come true. So I would love to fight in London again. I would love it.
And I think there are plans to bring an event with the PFL to the UK. So
that's good. I'm excited to hear that.
Yeah.
I better headline it. No.
When on a more serious note as well, when you say that you don't want to be famous, there are things in the narrative of your story, like Clarissa, like Ronda Rousey's early life, that resonate, not even just in a feminine way, but in things that happen to us in life.
Yep.
And I think, you know, having worked very close with people like Tyson Fury on his mental health, he's transformed lots of people's lives, not through his boxing, but because he's this 6'9" gypsy, the gypsy king, from a very rough, tough traveler race background, who's talking openly about mental health and the issues he's got. And I think people identify with fighters very often, and people in our society who maybe aren't from families that can afford counselors or therapists, or it encouraged those people who soak it up and don't speak openly to go out there. And I don't know whether that's a part of your raison d'etre as well.
Of course. You know, I think that it always kind of started out because I was sexually abused by my first coach, and I'm very public about it. You know, I have a foundation. I wrote a book. I'm very public about speaking out about it. And it sort of started with that, just because I truly believe that everything happens for a reason. And I truly believe that it's my duty and it's my responsibility to take that and turn it into something good and to leave the world better than I found it. You know, I refuse to be a victim. You know, I'm not a victim, and I want to help other survivors of sexual abuse. And it started as that. But the more I speak, the more I share my story, the more I realized that like so badly in our society, in our world, we crave real heroes. We crave humans, human beings. That's why people connect with Tyson. That's why people connect, with Clarissa. That's why people connect with those people who aren't afraid to be vulnerable and say, yeah, I suffer from depression. Yeah, I was suicidal. I thought about ending my life. I'm human too. I'm not a superhero. I'm not, I don't wake up every morning and put on this cape and I'm just like happy-go-lucky and my life is perfect. Like there's still shit to this day that I'm trying to get over. There's still obstacles. There's still, I cry probably more than the average human, I cry quite a bit. And I do think that we crave real life human heroes. And not to say that I think that I'm a hero, but I think what makes me want to help people and what makes people want to listen is the fact that I'm not afraid to say, yes, I struggle almost every day. Being a single mom is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I haven't slept, I feel like, in a year. And yes, I've struggled with depression and yes, I've been in abusive relationships. And yes, there are things that I have had to overcome, but I'm not afraid to get up and try again. And I think that that's an important message that people need to hear. Life is hard, man. Life is not sunshine and rainbows. And it's not, you can have all the money in the world. You could have all the fame in the world. You could have everything that you thought you wanted and you're still not happy. And I think for me, learning to have peace was about being true to myself. One of my favorite things, one of the things that I say to myself all the time is, when I stand in my truth, no matter what the cost, everybody benefits. And I'm not afraid to stand in my truth anymore. I think that comes with age. I think that comes with just having no choice. I had to either
owning it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think when we do that,
some of us don't own it till our 50s. It takes years, but it's true, because you might own that aspect of your life,
right,
but you don't own that aspect of your
right,
life. And we're all trying to be whole and complete all the time,
right,
and
right,
kind and all those things, aren't
right,
we? In the brutal world of fight sports,
yeah,
or in the brutal world,
yeah,
Ukraine. I've just interviewed the Klitschko's last weekend on Skype. I've known them for years. It was so difficult. It has stayed with me for 2 days.
I can't imagine.
Because exactly. That's the other thing they were saying about seeing every day as a gift, because life can change in the blink of an eye.
Absolutely. Oh, geez.
I know. It's
I can't imagine.
We all want to reach out and help. I want to go report on it. You would probably fight in it if you had to. You
just think about, and that's what again, that's life, right? Like, I think I sit here and think like, oh, my life is hard, or, oh, this is difficult, or life always humbles you and puts everything in perspective. Like, there are people like whose homes is a war zone right now. There are people who I know and who train with me who are not fighting in their title fight because they're defending their country. Like, I can't even imagine what that must feel like. I have no idea, and life is, I can't believe this is the world we live in sometimes. I really can't.
I know, but it's been a weird 2.5 years with COVID and
it has.
And that we thought we were through it. And well, it's brilliant. I understand your fighting IQ now, as well as your understanding of what you have to go through all the time. And I think I've noticed with a lot of fighters that understanding their personal struggle just helps them with their struggles with other people that are at a set date and a set time with a set weight. Tell me about that. Let's end on that.
No, I think
when are you up?
I think that's you put it perfectly. Because of everything I've been through in my life, because of the struggles, because of the ups and downs, the highs and lows, there's nothing anyone could ever throw at me inside of a cage that would, there's nothing.
Yeah.
I am so mentally strong and so capable and have such belief. Like, I know, and because of my years of struggle, and because of my years of training in judo and the discipline that I had to have to reach those goals, like, I know that no one works harder than me. I truly believe that. I know that I want it more than anyone. I truly believe that. I know that when the time comes and I get a big fight and I have a big moment, I'm going to be ready. I truly believe that. And I know that there may be adversity in the cage and I may get an injury or get hit or something, but I know me and I know what I'm capable of, and I know that I'll overcome it. There's nothing that could happen inside of a cage that would ever hit me as hard as life has hit me. I'm not
When are we
worried.
going to see you in action then? Do you know yet?
I believe I fight May 6th.
Okay. And where will it be? And do you know who you're up against yet? Has the draw been made?
I don't know who my opponent is yet, but I am fighting in Arlington, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be fun.
Cool. And we get to see it, of course, here on Channel 4 in the UK on Network TV, which is absolutely brilliant for the sport as well. That, you know, you've got Bellator on the BBC here. You've got, which is, you know, Network TV. We've got PFL on Channel 4. We've got BT Sport doing the UFC. You said that, you know, money doesn't matter that much, but it'd be nice to get the $1 million prize, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I got 2 kids and a family.
Exactly, it helps with the kids.
It does, for sure. I think that
you don't get $1 million for winning a gold medal at the Olympics, do you?
You certainly do not. You don't.
And that's weird in a way. But it's kind of weird in a way when you think about it, how rich the IOC is, how
I know.
All those things. It's quite strange. You don't know at the time, do you?
No, I was very naive. I was very like, oh, the Olympic ideals, and this is the most pure form of, you know, this is $1 billion industry that they.
So shouldn't the athletes be rewarded?
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that it's, it's just a huge moneymaker for all of these companies, and most of the athletes spend their entire lives living paycheck to paycheck, if that. You know, most of them don't have health insurance. You know, you think about, we're talking about the whole world. We're talking about countries that don't even have running water, you know, competing in the Olympic Games. And the International Olympic Committee is a multi-billion-dollar company, but these athletes don't have proper equipment, or it's a joke to me. I didn't realize until I was older again.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what I'm saying. You do a 10 or 15-year career, you finish in your late 20s.
Yeah.
And you just fall off the cliff.
What? Yes, exactly. There's just a dead drop right afterwards. Yeah. And it's something that I had talked with the International Olympic Committee about, and talked with the US Olympic Committee about, like, you know, everyone's so focused on, okay, let's make sure all the athletes have sports psychologists for when they compete, and proper nutrition, and this, and especially in the United States. But like, you're not offered sports psychology, or you're not offered regular psychology after you retire. You're not offered, like, okay, they're starting
or a government job in sports for the rest of your life because you've got a gold medal, or, you know. Right.
They're starting to have programs where you can intern or this or that, like, but it's, you know, it's in its infancy and it needs a lot of work. But I think that I would argue that athletes need that more than they do the other stuff. Like, you're going to be great if you're going to be great. You know, it doesn't really, we spend so much time worried about the science behind things and how to train properly and this and that. But at the end of the day, like, what's going to happen is going to happen. You know, either you've got it or you don't. That's my opinion. So, even like with the COVID and the Olympics being postponed, like, everyone was like, well, how do you think it's going to affect the athletes? And I'm like, they're either going to win or they're going to, you know, like, it wasn't going to.
Just going to do it a year later.
Yeah, exactly. Like, nothing changes.
Yeah.
So I do believe that there needs to be a lot more work put into those types of programs for athletes. But that's, again, I think that, you know, I worked hard my whole life. I didn't make a ton of money, and now I'm being, you know, I have financial abundance. You know, I'm being, Big Jim, my judo coach, always said, if you want money, win, and the money will come. And so I just kept winning, and he was right.
Well, KAYLA Harrison, we look forward to watching you with your winning ways in mixed martial arts. It's an absolute pleasure to interview you today.
Yeah,
fantastic
thank you.
to talk to you.
Thank you so much.
Cheers, KAYLA.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, right, great. Me too. Me too. Thanks very much.
My pleasure.
Cheers.
All right.